Good morning. We're on day 8 of our journey together. And on this Sunday morning, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about, when you think about the world, talk to you a little bit about what's going on in our world in terms of war. This was shocking to me, but since the end of World War II, there have been 250 major wars fought, killing about 23 million people and creating tens of millions of refugees that have been displaced and driven from their homes. 90% of those casualties were civilian, and 3 out of 4 have been women and children. I mean, just think of that. 250 wars since World War II, 90% of that huge number of 23 million being women and children. Today there are 42 different conflicts or wars being waged across the world. 42 different ones. Only one really deserves much headline space in our papers, and that's of course the conflict in Iraq and what's going on in Afghanistan. But there are 42 conflicts. Richard Stearns goes on to write in his book, the 20th century was the bloodiest in human history, and its war casualties were 3 times greater than those of the previous 500 years combined. The ongoing war, here's just one example. The ongoing war in the Democratic Republic of Congo has taken more than 5 million lives and is taking more than 45,000 lives a month right now in the Democratic Republic of Congo. There are now 9.9 million refugees in our world and an additional 23.7 million who have been displaced but not been driven out of their own country. So that's 34 million people that have basically have been driven from their homes because of conflicts in our world. Now, here's something about what we're spending on all of this conflict. The world spends $1.2 trillion. That's 1,200 billion. $1.2 trillion on military spending in the world. I mean, just that's mind-boggling figure, and across the world. And the United States spends half that number. In other words, the world spends 12 times more per year on military and defense than it does on developmental assistance for the poorest of the poor. 12 times more. By one estimate, just an additional $65 billion per year would be enough to lift the 1 billion people who live on less than $1 a day out of their extreme poverty. Just 65 billion. That would only require diverting 5% of what we spend on the military each year towards the poor. 5%. But that decision will be a tough one. Sometimes when I pray for peace, I just think it's my peace. It's my country's peace. And these statistics that are going on around the world, the conflict in mankind, are mind-boggling. God, today, teach me to have eyes to see people the way you see them. Teach me to allow my heart to break for the things that break your heart.